A glorious throne set on high from the beginning is the place of our sanctuary. This is Jeremiah responding to the people who were saying to Jeremiah, "You're wrong. This temple will never be destroyed. This temple is the very dwelling place of God." You remember Jeremiah was telling the people who looked religious. They were spiritual, but just in the wrong sense. God is not looking for you just to be religious. He's not looking for you just to be spiritual. You can be religious and be religiously wrong. You only have to read Matthew 23 to read Jesus talking to the most religious people of his day. And it's stinging. He calls them whitewashed walls, empty tombs. On the outside, you're whitewashed, you're finely painted, but on the inside of your heart, there's dead bones. He said, that's what your religion's like. Now, I know some people respond to this and say, there you go, all religion is wrong. We are not to be religious. No, it's not that. It's the wrong religion that God's got a problem with. Now, here's Jeremiah saying to these people, you think that you can just be religious any way you like. You think you can just be spiritual any way you like. And you think that because God has said he will dwell in this house, this temple, that you're safe. And Jeremiah tells the people that God is going to come and destroy this city. And it was so incredible that what he was saying could possibly happen. This statement might sound strange, knowing that Jeremiah has said, stop putting your confidence and your hope in a physical building. And then Jeremiah turns to this physical building and he says, but in there is a glorious throne. In this house, it's a sanctuary. Oh boy, I want to touch on these words because this temple, Jeremiah is now saying, it was a reminder of God's throne. You see, the one sitting on the throne is supposed to be the one who's ruling. And the temple was a reminder that God was enthroned. He was enthroned. The temple was very important, in fact central to Jewish worship. It was the place where sacrifices and offerings and the ceremonies were carried out. But it had become an object of, well, superstition. The people were looking to the temple in the place of God. And Jeremiah points them to the fact that the temple was to be a sanctuary. It was to be like an embassy. It was to be a place where the people could come and declare to the world that peace with God was possible through having your sins dealt with. That you could come to God acknowledging that you're a sinner, have those sins dealt with through sacrifice, and find reconciliation with God. The Jewish people were called to be light to the world. The temple was to be, well, a place of emanating light to the world, but they turned it into something else. And Jeremiah is pointing the people back to their original purpose, that the temple was to be that place from which they were to go, not just the place to which they were to come. And Ezekiel says this in Ezekiel 37 verse 26, and I will make a covenant of peace with them. It shall be an everlasting covenant with them. And I will set them in their land and multiply them. I will set my sanctuary in their midst forevermore. Verse 28, then the nations will know that I am the Lord who sanctifies Israel when my sanctuary is in their midst forever. Because Jesus one day would come along and say, that sanctuary Ezekiel was talking about, it's me. I'm it. The land Ezekiel's talking about, it's called the promised land. Jesus says, I am the ultimate promise. All of what you were expecting about the land, it's me. The covenant that's going to last forever, I'm going to establish it. It'll never need replacing. It's the new covenant. I'm the temple. I'm your sanctuary. I'm your sanctuary. So the prophets foretold of a sanctuary that would come. Jesus was the sanctuary that the prophets foretold of. Who is that sanctuary? What is that sanctuary today? Jesus calls you and me, his temple, his sanctuary. The very things that Jeremiah was addressing with his original audience in type apply to us today. Jeremiah was calling a people who acknowledged that they knew God. They claimed that they knew God, to demonstrate that knowledge to the world. In a similar way, we today who claim to be followers of Jesus Christ have an obligation to show the world this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like to follow Jesus Christ. Jeremiah, although prophesying some 2,500 years ago, has a relevant message for us today. We, as followers of Christ, need to ensure that we are drinking from the fresh water that only Christ can provide. You recall in John chapter 7 that Jesus said, "Come to me, all you who thirst, and I will give you living water." He said that to the woman at the well also. If you knew who it was you were talking to, you'd ask me for a drink, I'd give you a drink, and you'd never thirst again. We need to ensure that whenever life's difficulties come our way, that we drink deeply of Jesus. We drink from fountains of living water. Jesus is the living water. Where do you go when you're aching, when you're thirsty, when it's dry, when it's really bad, when it's really hard, when life is tough, when you've got doubts, when you've got questions, when you've got challenges, when you've got things coming against you, when you've got financial pressures, relationship pressures? Where do you look for a drink? Where do you look for a drink? Jesus offers real drink, living water. Do you want a drink? Here's the question. Knowing that Jeremiah has said, Jerusalem, you're drinking from the wrong well. You've forsaken the Lord, the fountain of living water. And so today the question is, which fountain are you running to for your water? Are you running to a guru? Are you running to a bottle of pills? Are you running to a bottle? Are you running to something? Or are you running to someone? And if you listen closely, that word someone, I said it with a capital S. Are you running to him?